And then there's a final one that I want to mention as an example, and I want to spend a little bit of time on this one also, and that is complaints about the pastor. Complaints about the pastor. You know, we love to hate our leaders. You need to look no further than politics in the United States. Setting aside whether you like the current president or whether you like the previous president, how polar opposite they are, we love to hate our leaders. And that's a human trait. When someone is the front man, the boss, the one in charge, we're going to pick them to death. And that's what seniors do to pastors. They pick pastors to death. Mark Brunson and Ergen Kainer wrote a book that's actually very, very good that addresses the deeper issues that are actually going on in the churches. The book is called Why Churches Die. And in that I want to read something that they talked about here on the point of criticizing pastors. Brunson and Kainer specify several examples of direct and indirect complaining against pastoral ministry in their book. They point out a member named Bobby who, quote, fancied himself as a critic of preaching and ordered the pastor to quit calling for people to make decisions because it never does any good. Another member named Bill would leave after the Sunday school if the sermon was not challenging enough for him. And a third member named Darlene would promptly walk out at noon no matter who was preaching or what the Lord may have been doing in the congregation at the time. And I can tell you as a pastor, it is brutal. It is absolutely brutal, the amount of complaints that people lay at the pastor's feet. You know, he doesn't wear a tie. I don't like the way he does the communion. I don't like the way he preaches. He's good at Bible study, but he's not good at sermons. His children don't dress right. His wife doesn't teach Sunday school. On and on and on and on. And I have told people this, and I'll say it again on the record, that there is no more difficult job in this world than being a pastor of a Baptist church. And this right here is the primary reason. People pick you to death, and they are so quick to tell you about it. One of the things that, and it's mentioned in this quote that we just talked about, that is often the subject of pastoral criticism, is what the pastor chooses to preach on and what he chooses not to preach on. The congregants always seem to think that they know better than the preacher about what to preach. You see, remember what I told you before. We've got this box of things that we think should be preached on, and everything else is off limits. And if you don't preach that box, then you're criticized and you're ridiculed and you're mocked because you haven't preached the Bible, because you haven't preached these subjects. But as I showed you in our last session, those subjects, many of them are not even in the Bible, and the stuff in the Bible is not in that list of stuff. So I have a word for you. If you are presently critical of your pastor for what he preaches or does not preach on, and I don't care what church you're in, who's listening, where you're listening from, if you are in your mind or in your words complaining and criticizing the preaching of the pastor, I've got a lesson for you. I've got a word for you. And that word is, you do not get to decide what the preacher preaches. The Holy Spirit decides what the preacher preaches. You don't know better than the pastor. Remember, he is the one who has been called of God, been set apart for the ministry. He is the one praying and seeking out the will of God to preach to you and to teach you. If he chooses to preach on a certain subject, you need to conclude that you need to hear that. You need to humble yourself and say, God must want me to hear this. And if he chooses not to preach on a certain subject, you must conclude that the Lord does not want you to hear about that. That's not important. It is not your role. It is not within your authority to decide what the preacher preaches. Acts 20:28 says, "Take heed to yourselves and to all the flock." This is Paul is speaking here to the elders. He's talking to the preachers. And he says, "Take heed to yourselves and to all the flock, among which the Holy Spirit has made you overseers." So who is the one who has made the pastor the pastor? Now, in Baptist churches, we usually vote on that, but don't fool yourself. The Holy Spirit is the one who places the pastor in his position, and the Holy Spirit is the one who guides him. You do not get to decide what the preacher preaches.